All right.
Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Captain Kirk with eXp Realty and Kevin Smullen with the Lead Generation Academy. Can you believe it? This is week 4 already. So, boy, when you're having fun, like Kevin said, it just flies by. So, lots of great feedback from the last few weeks. People making changes in their business cards and making changes in their business. And so I'm real proud to say that it's been eye-opening for me and a bunch of people. I get, lots of great feedback. So, and I'm excited to say that this week, everybody can use this, right? Who can't use an extra 20 leads per week that can possibly change or double your business? You never know, right? So it's just that one deal sometimes that can get you 3 more deals, a seller and a listing and a buyer on the backside that turns into referrals. So Kevin is going to talk today about how to generate 20 leads through Facebook per week, and it's going to be epic. So tune in right now as we get started with the great Kevin Smullen. There he is.
Great. Wow. Not sure I've ever been called the great before. That's kind of cool.
Great. That's right.
I might add that to my title or something. I don't know. I don't even have
Let's
a title, so maybe that'll be it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Cool. All right. So you should be seeing my screen. Yes. Yes. Okay. Perfect. All right. So today, what we're going to talk about is how to be generating 20 leads per week using Facebook. So one of the things I love about Facebook is it is a fantastic tool, not only for marketing, but for being able to generate leads for your business. And usually when people see this, it's pretty eye-opening just to see what's possible and how you can use this as a tool to have new opportunities, fill your pipeline full of prospects, and make it a great year for your business. So with that, basically, let's just talk about when we talk about lead generation, let's just be clear about what we're talking about. So my definition of a lead comes down to 4 things. So number 1, they have willingly, that's important, they have willingly given you their name, their phone number, their email address, and they're asking you to contact them or follow up with them in some way. That is my definition of a lead. And so our focal point today is I'm going to be teaching you how to get 20 of those per week. So even though we're talking about Facebook, I'm not talking about likes or comments or shares, because in a lot of cases, likes, comments, and shares don't translate into business. So what we're going to be focused on today is how to generate leads, names, phone numbers, email addresses, and getting people to ask you to follow up with them. So that is basically the way that this works. Now, I just have a different way of viewing the business. So I know lots of people, I'm going to show you 2 different perspectives, but I know a lot of people who have built their business just picking up the phone and calling, right? So they're calling their SOI, their sphere of influence, or they're calling expired listings or for sell by owners, whatever it is, but they just pick up the phone and they dial and they dial and they dial. And don't get me wrong, there are people that have done that for their business. And if you like doing that and it's working for you, I'm not telling you to stop, right? But I'm just going to share what my experience was. So my broker, when I was a real estate agent, he taught me the same thing. He taught me to call for sell by owners and expired listings every day and call my sphere of influence. And basically that was his approach, was call. Well, my experience, especially as I called for sell by owners and expired listings, was that 99% of those people had no interest in talking to me, right? they were being bombarded by people and they hated it. And frankly, the 1% of people who actually did want help, all the agents were fighting over that 1%. So, as I was calling for sell by owners and expired listings, so were a lot of other agents. And so they were just getting bombarded with people. And frankly, most of them hated that experience. So all the agents were fighting over the 1% who actually wanted help, or trying to beat up the 99% and convince them why they actually need their services. So my experience was a lot of rejection, tons of time spent dialing, and very little results. And so, like I said, if it's working for you and you enjoy it, great. One of the things that I think is a little funny is some of my some of my contemporaries in the real estate coaching arena, the people who actually teach cold calling and stuff like this. The funny part is if you're not getting results, they have a great solution for you. And their solution is just do more of it. I've never understood that, but if that makes sense to you, then go for it. Again, on the right-hand column, I love generating leads online because in my opinion, it solves a lot of problems. So number one, what I'm going to talk about today, there is a little bit of technical setup that is going to be required. It's not difficult technology, but for some of you, it may be a little new, and so you may struggle with it. I'm going to give you some tools and resources to help you with that. But here's the thing. Even if it's something that you totally struggle with, you can usually hire someone to do this for less than what you are worth per hour. You know, when you do the math of how much you are worth per hour, in a lot of cases, it's upwards of $300, $400, $500 per hour when you're actually doing what you do. So knowing that you're worth that, you can always hire somebody to do it, even if you struggle with the technology. But what I love about it is I can set up my leads once and leads constantly come in. So when I get my ad set up on Facebook, I can go about the rest of my week, right? So a lot of times what I recommend is Monday morning, if it's possible, Monday morning, get your marketing set up on Facebook, and then you're free, like let it run for the week. So now what happens is for that little bit of time that I spend setting it up on Facebook, I can go out to a listing appointment and new leads come in. I can go show homes and new leads come in. I can wake up in the morning and leads have come in overnight from the ads that we're running. So that's what's beautiful about this is I can set it up and constantly receive leads. The reason why this is such a big deal for me is because if you look at a lot of real estate agents' production over time, it looks like your typical roller coaster, right? There's highs and lows, and it just doesn't really deviate from that pattern. And so what happens is agents get to a low point in their business where they don't have a lot going on, right? And so I call it the oh crap phase, right? Oh crap, I don't have a lot going on. So they do a lot of marketing, a lot of prospecting, and they're working, and it works. And now they've got buyers and sellers that they're working with. And so now as they're working with their buyers and sellers, they're so busy working with those people that they're not doing what got them to that point in the first place, right? They're not doing the marketing and the prospect anymore, frankly, because they just don't have time. And then all of that business closes and now they're back at a low point, and we just keep repeating the cycle over and over again. What I love about this is it takes those lows out of your business, because if I can just spend 20 minutes or a half hour setting up a lead generation campaign on Facebook, now my marketing is going for the rest of the week and I have freed up my time. So that's one thing that I love about this. But another thing that I love about it is people are asking me to contact them. I would much rather spend my time with that person, right? On Facebook, the leads are exclusive to you. So a lot of the lead generation companies out there, the Zillows, the Realtor.coms, other companies similar to that, in many cases, the leads are not exclusive. They're selling those same leads to other agents. And so it becomes a race to the phone to see who can call that lead first. If you're generating the leads on Facebook, nobody else is getting them. They're going straight to you. And so that exclusivity is a big deal. Again, we've talked about this. Leads come in regardless of what happens. You can go about your day doing what you want to do, doing whatever's on your schedule, and those opportunities keep coming in. What I'm going to show you is entirely scalable. So some of my clients are individual agents, and basically they're just using Facebook as a tool to generate enough leads to keep them busy. I've got clients who are teams where they've got a team of agents, and what they do is they have an advertising budget that is enough to feed the team and give enough leads to everyone. I have brokerages that I work with, same concept. They're just promoting, they're just generating enough leads to give leads to the agents in the brokerage. So that's what's cool about this, is it's totally scalable to whatever level you want to implement this. But the bottom line is, when you have this kind of freedom and leads just keep coming in, you get to spend your time doing what you do best, which is selling real estate. And that's obviously what this boils down to. So with that being said, let me just walk you through an example of how this works. And I'm going to show you several different kinds of lead generation campaigns. I'm going to show you all kinds of numbers and results. The kind of stuff people typically don't like to show you, I'm going to show you. So you're going to know exactly what it's going to take and what it's going to cost. and what the results will be. So typically what happens is when an agent gets a listing, they'll do something like this on Facebook. So they'll take a link to their Zillow profile, as you see here, and they post that. Or they will get a link to their website from a property on their website and post that, or whatever it is, but they've got some link that's taking you to some other website that has all the property details. So, you know, here as a prospective buyer, if I see this on Facebook, I know the address and I know the price and I know where it's at, and I have a link to click on to go get more details if I want more details. And so the problem that most agents have is when they do something like this on Facebook, they're excited, they've got this new listing, they post it, they're expecting their phone to ring off the hook, and nothing happens. Okay, I can tell you why nothing happens. The reason why nothing happens is you've got to turn off your real estate hat for a second and put on your prospect hat for a second. So let's say that you are a prospect, you're in the market for buying a home, and let's say you're just scrolling through Facebook and you happen to see this home, and just for the sake of teaching you and explaining this, let's say that that is exactly the home that you're looking for. It's perfect, it's ideal, it's the home that you want. Now, even though it's exactly what you're looking for, my question is, what reason do you have as a prospect to contact the agent who posted this? Okay, because I have all the data, I don't really have a reason to contact the agent. I already know everything. I see it right here in front of me. And so the only reason why any prospect would ever contact you about posting something like this is if they wanted to go see it, right? If they wanted to go set up a time to go see the home. And my response to that is they don't need you for that, right? They probably know somebody else who's in real estate. Here where I live in Utah, real estate is extremely competitive. Most people know more than one real estate agent. And so if there's a real estate agent who posts this and somebody doesn't know them, the chance of them using this agent to go see it is very, very slim, because they're going to work with somebody that they know and trust, right? So with that being said, very few people see results when they do something like this. And that's the problem, is the agent hasn't given them a reason to engage with them, right? They're likely just going to be using another agent that they know. So with that being said, there's really only two ways that I can ever teach you to consistently generate leads on Facebook. So the first way is that we offer something so valuable that people are willing to part with their contact information for it. Okay, offer something so valuable, people are willing to give up their contact information. Most people value their contact information and they just don't freely give it out. So in order for them to do that, you have to offer something really valuable as to why they're willing to give up their contact info, right? When that perception changes and they perceive that what you're offering is low in value, that's the moment they hold on to their contact information. So this is one of the things that I really dislike about newsletters, or that I dislike about, I've seen a lot of agents that have a little box on their website that'll say something like, sign up for email updates. I've seen that on several websites. Do you know what the conversion rate of newsletters and email updates are? It's so low, it's not even worth talking about. I mean, we're talking like needle in the haystack kind of numbers, simply because the perceived value of a newsletter is extremely low, right? Or to say the same thing differently, if you were to open up your email right now and you saw an email that had a subject line that said October's newsletter, what are you going to do with that, right? For 99% of you, you're just going to delete it without even opening it, because your perceived value is that there isn't any. So again, it's just a value scale, right? If I'm offering something valuable, that's why people are going to be willing to part with their contact information. So some examples of that. Let's say I'm offering either a video or a document on 3 ways to buy a home without a down payment. If I'm marketing that to first-time home buyers, since down payments are a problem that they frequently face, if I'm offering them a solution to that problem, they'll probably take me up on that. right? So there's lots of examples we could go over, but that's the concept is I want to offer something high in value so that people are willing to part with their contact information. That's the first way that I can generate leads consistently. The second way that I generate a lead consistently is by withholding valuable information. And that's the reason that they have to engage, right? So these are really the only two ways I can teach you how to do this consistently, is either offer something really high in value or withhold something really valuable so that people are willing to give up their contact information for it. Those are really the only two ways I can teach you how to do this consistently. And you just want to make sure you understand that concept, because if you don't, lead generation is something that you're probably going to struggle with. And the reason why you're going to struggle is no one's going to know why they should be giving you their contact information. So in order to do what I'm going to show you today, there are a couple tools that you're going to need. So let me walk you through this process. The first tool that you're going to need is Facebook. So the process is people on Facebook, as they're scrolling through their news feed, they're going to see your ad or your post, right? So you can use a post as an ad. That's why I say either or. But basically, as they scroll through their feed, they're going to see that post, and that is the beginning of this process. Whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're offering something valuable or withholding something, and again, I'm going to show you examples so that this will make sense. But whatever that process is, you're going to be asking them to click. It's going to take them to a web page where we're going to collect their lead. I'll show you how we do that and show you what that looks like. And that's how we capture the lead. But the ad that they see on Facebook is what begins this whole process. So the good news is if you have a Facebook account, if you've built a business page and you have an ad account, then you have all the tools you need for doing that part of it. And other than what you're paying for the ads, it's not going to cost you anything. The second part of the process is we're going to have what's called a landing page. Now, don't get caught up in the terminology. The funny thing is every single person in this class, this webinar, all of you know what a landing page is without knowing the terminology. If you've ever seen a website where there's a form that they're asking you to fill out in exchange for something, that is a landing page. This is how we capture the website or the contact data. Now, some brokerages provide tools where you have access to landing pages or stuff like that. So what I find with a lot of agents that I talk to is they have tools like this at their disposal that, you know, somebody, their brokerage or someone else in the industry has given them access to, and they're just not using it. So if you have access to a tool, great, go ahead and use it. As long as it's a way for you to capture a lead, that's all we need. If you don't have something like that at your disposal, and again, I'm going to show you examples, but here are some third-party websites. So Instapage, Lead Pages, Unbounce, all of these are landing page softwares. And the cool part about it is you used to have to be a web programmer to do this kind of stuff. With technology the way that it is nowadays, it's super easy. So what's cool about these websites that I'm giving you resources for, Instapage, Lead Pages, Unbounce, there's lots of them out there, frankly. But basically the way that it works is they're very template based. So you pick the template that's close to what you want, you click, you drag, you drop, you edit some text, and you can literally create one of these in about 5 minutes. It's so much easier than it ever has been. And so these are great tools for that. Now, these tools do have a cost. Most of them range in about the price range of about $30 to $40 a month, just depending on which one you're using. So obviously, if you're going to make that kind of investment, it's a tool that you're going to want to use and take advantage of. But it makes this process so much easier. And just for full disclosure, I'm not an affiliate of any of these companies. I don't make a penny whether you use them or not. So to that end, I don't really care which one you use. You just need some kind of solution that's going to help you capture the lead. And then the third thing you're going to need is you're going to need some kind of email follow-up system. So once we capture their contact information, we want to have a way to consistently communicate with them. So if you're doing text follow-up, email follow-up, whatever, email follow-up is great. And one of the things I like about email follow-up is if you're setting this up the way that I'm going to show you, you can set it up to where once people fill out the form and hit the button, there's an email that's automatically sent that gives them whatever information it is that you're promising to give them. And that becomes your first touch point to help you with your lead conversion. Now, most people are not going to become a client on that first contact, right? The money is going to be in the follow-up. And so as you go through this process, you're going to want to have an email system that you can consistently use to stay in touch with these people. And so again, MailChimp, Aweber, Constant Contact, all of these are email programs. Again, if you've got something that some tool at your access and it works, great, use it. If you don't, here's some third-party recommendations. A lot of people like to use MailChimp as they're just getting started with online marketing, because they have a free account that's free up to 2,000 records. Once you have 2,000 records, they start charging you, I think it's a massive $10 a month. It's pretty inexpensive, but frankly, if I've got 2,000 people that have requested information from me, I'm happy to spend $10 a month to stay in touch with those people, right? So most of these email softwares, that's kind of the price range. Most of them are around 10 to $20 a month, and then it goes up from there depending on the size of your database. But 10 to 20 bucks, especially as you're just getting started, that's kind of what you can expect. But again, the whole concept is with number one, the Facebook ad or post, this is how they see the content, right? That's the first thing that starts this entire process. With step number two, the landing page, this is the tool that we use to collect the contact information. It's how you capture a lead. And then the third part, the email software, is for the follow-up. This is how we stay in touch. In order for you to be successful with this, it will take all three pieces of those. So go ahead and use whatever solution you want. Again, I'm just making some recommendations, but you just need all three of those because they're critical components. There's the marketing piece, the lead capture piece, and then the follow-up piece. And all of that is going to be required for what I'm going to show you. So with that out of the way, I'm going to show you an actual, let's get into some examples and show you how this works. So with a buyer leads campaign, I'm going to show you how to generate potential buyer leads. And so I actually call this the home magazine campaign. So the reason why I call it that is, when I was a licensed agent 20 years ago, social media didn't exist, the internet didn't exist. And one of the major lead generation tools of the time were those home magazines that you could pick up for free at the grocery store, right? And if you remember how those worked, basically when you pick up that magazine, there was usually like one picture of the exterior of the home, and then there was a couple of lines of information about the house, but there was some very key information not in the magazine. So it frequently did not show the price, or the address or any of the other details about the home. And if you wanted that information, you had to contact the agent who placed the ad, and that's how that tool would generate a lead for real estate agents. So the funny thing about what I'm going to show you is this is something you guys have been doing for decades, frankly. It's just the only difference is nobody's really picking up those magazines anymore, and that's why they don't really print them anymore. I'm just going to show you how to use the same concept, but do it on social media, because this is where people are looking. This is where they constantly have their eyeballs. So that's why I call it the home magazine. Now, the whole concept is I'm going to use a listing to generate interest from potential buyers. So if you have your own listing, great. If you don't have any listings, you can always borrow one, right? Just get permission. So when I was a brand new agent and I knew how important the magazine was to be in there to get leads, I went to some of the other agents in my office and said, hey, can I run some ads and try and sell that listing that you have so that I can generate some buyer leads, right? And if you go to an agent and say, hey, I'd love to do some marketing to try and help you sell that home, 99 times out of 100, they're going to say, yeah, go for it, right? So just get permission. That's the right thing to do. That also protects you so that you don't get in trouble. But basically, all we're doing is just using a listing to generate interest from potential buyers. The strategy that we're going to do is just like with the home magazine, we're going to withhold some information so that people have a reason to engage with you and provide you with that contact information. So this is the strategy where we withhold to generate contact information, get them to engage with you. So let me show you an example of how this works. So what you're seeing here is an example of exactly what we're talking about. I'm using a listing to generate potential interest from buyers. So you'll notice that I've got a picture of the exterior. I've got the brokerage logo on there for compliance. That way people can't say it's a blind ad. And then I've got other photos of the home. So I'm strategically picking the photos that I use. So I'm using the photos that people ask about all the time and that they want to see. So pictures of the kitchen and the living area, the master suite, anything that is, any of the outstanding features about the home that make it a little unique, those are the pictures that I'm going to put to generate interest from people. Okay, now with that, you'll notice on this post, I'm putting a couple paragraphs of information to get people excited, to give them enough information as to why they should be interested. But you'll notice there's some very key information that's not here. So the address is not listed. The price is not listed. And I'm giving them some photos to get them excited, but I'm also withholding some photos. And so those three things, the price, the address, and the rest of the photos, that's the carrot that I'm kind of dangling in front of them to get them to engage with me. Okay. So you'll notice that the call to action here on this post is go here to get the price, the location, and the rest of the photos. And there's a link that they can click on if they're interested. When they click on that link, it's going to take them to a landing page. I'll show you an example of that in just a second. And that's how we're going to capture the lead. Now, you'll also notice on here, right underneath the smaller photos on the right-hand side of your screen, it says that this post was seen by 8,302 people. Okay, 8,302 people saw this post. The reason why so many people saw this post, it's not because the agent had 8,000 followers on their page, right? The reason why 8,000 people saw this is they ran a paid ad to get people to see this post. Okay, and I'm going to talk more about the ad in just a second. But the reason why this is so important is because if you build what I'm showing you, if you did a post like this on your page and you're not running an ad, you're wasting your time because frankly, very few people are going to see it. So remember, one of the problems with Facebook is that if you build a business page and you post something without running an ad, a very, very small percentage of people are actually going to see it. So if you had like 100 people that like your page and you post something, statistically about 10, 15 of them are actually going to see it. So the way that we really get success with this is we pay for an ad to make sure the proper people are seeing the content, and I'll explain the targeting a little later as we get past this example. So again, if people are interested, they're going to click on the link that's in that post. And the link is going to take them to what's called a landing page. So again, don't worry about the terminology. All of you have seen something like this at some point in your life, where they're asking you to fill out a form in exchange for receiving something for free. This is what a landing page is called, or that's what a landing page is. That's just what it's called in online marketing. And so this is an example of a landing page. Now, not everyone obviously is going to fill out this form. So if they click on the link and they come to this page, there's a fair amount of people that are going to say nope, and they're going to click away and they're not going to give you their contact information. The statistics are a good landing page will convert 10 to 20% of the time. So that means for every 10 people who come to this page, statistically 1 or 2 of them would actually fill it out. 8 or 9 will not. Okay, and that's fine. The 8 or 9 who don't, they probably weren't going to be the ones that were real interested in anyway, and they probably weren't going to do business with me anyway. So to that extent, it doesn't really matter. This is just a numbers game, right? So I know that if enough people see this, I'm going to generate enough leads, and if I have enough leads, some of those are going to turn into business. It's just numbers. That's all this is. Now, some people, for the 1 or 2 who actually do fill it out, some of them are going to provide you with bogus contact information, right? It's not going to be correct. And so the statistics on that are that happens about 25% of the time. So 1 out of every 4 people who fill this out will give you bogus information. Okay, also part of the game. But once people fill this form out and they hit the button, it's going to take them to a page like this that has all the property information that we promised to give them. Okay, so here's the funny part. A lot of you, when you get a brand new listing, you're doing something similar to this on Facebook. So you're posting information about the listing, you're including a link, but the link that you're providing in your post takes them to this page rather than this page, right? And when you put this step in the middle of that process, a funny thing happens. You actually get leads. It's kind of weird how that works. So again, just make sure that when you put this step in the middle, you're going to get leads, and you don't want to go from here to here, because if you do, you're missing that process to get them to engage with you and to have somebody consistent that you can work with. So this is a typical campaign of a way that we generate leads for your business. Okay. Now, the success of what makes this work is it all depends on the ads that you're running. So like we talked about, if all you did was build what I've just shown you right here and you post it to your page and then you stop right there, then I'm going to tell you don't even bother. You've wasted your time. And it's because of the reason that we've talked about. Very few people are actually going to see it if you're not running an ad. So if you built this, then what you've built is an engine that will capture leads. But the engine is missing the fuel, right? The engine only works if there's fuel in it. And in this case, the fuel for this engine is the ad. So when we ads, ads, the very first thing that Facebook is going to ask you is, what is it that you want to achieve by running an ad? Okay. Now, if some of you may have been boosting posts up to this point, and if you're unfamiliar with what boosting a post is, let me back up a couple shots. So you'll notice right here on this post, anytime you post anything on your page, there'll be this blue little button that you see on the right-hand side that says Boost Post. And if you click on that, what happens is Facebook will say, for X number of dollars, we will show your post to X number of people. And it sounds awesome. And so there's lots of people who do it because Facebook has simplified the process. You can click, put in your budget, and just hit the go button, and it makes things really simple. But if you're going to follow any of the training that I'm giving you, frankly, my advice to you is never, ever, ever, ever boost a post again, because it's not in your best interest. And here's why. Frankly, there's a lot of reasons why. But the first reason why is when you boost a post, Facebook picks the objective for you, right? So the objective is what you want to have happen by running an ad. And the objective that they pick for you is engagement, that one in the center column under consideration. They pick engagement for you. And the way that Facebook defines engagement is it's 4 different things. It's clicks, likes, shares, and comments. So when you pick engagement as your objective, because Facebook is tracking everything that everyone is doing on their platform, they know who has a history of clicking on real estate posts and who comments and who likes and who shares. And so they optimize the ad to show it to those people who have a history of doing those 4 things with real estate posts, right? Now, if you're trying to capture a lead, doing what I'm showing you, comments, likes, shares, those things don't matter to us at all. And so a lot of times if people have been boosting posts, they're spending all this money, and it sounds cool because there's lots of people seeing your content, but they're not generating leads. And this is the reason why, is because that ad is actually being optimized for engagement, clicks, likes, shares, comments. And in most cases, that's not what you want. The kind of ad that you would run for the campaign that I'm showing you, where we're driving people to a landing page, would be, you could either use reach, which is show my ad to as many people as possible for the lowest budget possible. That's one option. Or the other option is doing what's called a conversion ad. You'll see that in the right-hand column, conversions. Facebook defines conversions as people who have a history of clicking on links, going to third-party web pages, and filling out a form. Does that sound like what we're after? So again, conversion would be the kind of ad that you would run for something like what I'm showing you. That would make a lot more sense than doing an engagement ad. So that's the first reason why you never ever want to boost a post, is because Facebook picks the objective for you. Going back to some of the training that we've done in weeks previous, there was the week where we talked about using Facebook as a way of building a database or a sales funnel where you're just repetitively marketing to people over and over again. In that training, we talked a lot about using custom audiences, where you're creating an audience based on a list of people that you upload to Facebook for your, like your SOI, your past clients. Or we talked about targeting people that have been to your website, or people that had engaged on your Facebook page. Those are all called custom audiences. And if you boost a post, you can't run an ad to a custom audience. That's another reason why you don't want to boost posts. So the funny part is the same money that you're spending for boosting a post, if you stop doing that and just use the same money to run an ad, you get to pick all the settings that you want, and it's really in your benefit to do that. So that's why I would tell anybody, if you've been boosting posts, don't ever do it again. It's really not in your best interest. Now, once you select what the outcome is that you want for the ad, the real trick to making this work is it's all in targeting. Now, the reason why this slide says what it used to be is because Facebook recently changed their targeting system. So these are changes that they made back in August of this year. So it's been a couple months. Now, you used to be able to target really small geographic areas. You used to be able to do even as small as a 1 mile radius around whatever point you wanted to define. Facebook has changed that. That's not the case anymore. Reason why is they viewed that if you were marketing to just a really small area or like a certain zip code, that was quote unquote discriminatory. And the anti-discrimination lawsuits that Facebook faced, that's why they changed all this. As the screenshot shows, you used to be able to target people based on their household income. That was super helpful. You used to be able to target people whether they were homeowners or not. Actually, they even used to have the price of the home, like property value, as a targeting option. Those options have all gone away, and so it's changed. So with that, let's talk about what targeting is today and how we actually use this to target the right people. So now when you first set up an ad, this is the very first screen that you're going to see, is what's called a special ad category. So a special ad category on Facebook, there are certain industries that are regulated based on anti-discrimination laws. Real estate is one of those. So the 3 special ad categories are housing, that's the one that applies to you. Employment is another protected industry, and credit is another protected industry. So if you're running ads in any of those 3 industries, then you need to check this box that it's a special ad category and then select the category. So in your case, you're going to be checking the box and selecting housing. If you don't do this step, Facebook will automatically reject any real estate ad that you run. And when you check this box, because you're in a protected industry, a lot of the options that that Facebook provides for targeting, they lock those options. So a lot of people say, well, those options have gone away, and that's not really true. If you are, let's say you own a retail business, right? So if you just sell clothing or I don't know, whatever, right? You can discriminate and target whoever the heck you want. All of those options are still in there. You're just not allowed to use them in the real estate industry because of the protected industry. So again, make sure you do this step when you're setting up an ad, otherwise it'll automatically be rejected. Now, once you've said that it's a special ad category, some of the changes that have gone away, again, you used to be able to target zip codes. You'll notice right in the center of the screen, that's not available anymore. The minimum radius that they do now is 15 miles. They've determined that a 15-mile radius is not discriminatory. So the way that I would do this campaign, that what you're seeing is I would use the city of the property as the center point, and then I would do like a 15-mile radius around that point. And all I'm really thinking about anytime I'm marketing a campaign like what you're seeing, so if I'm marketing a listing to attract buyers, all I'm thinking about is the buyers who are going to be interested in this property, probability wise, where are they? And that's what I'm going to put. So if I'm marketing a property that's kind of outside of a major city, 15 miles might not be enough to reach the target market. So I do this, it's different every time, but you can go anywhere from 15 to 50 miles. So that's one way of doing the targeting. The other way that you can do targeting geographically is you can do it by county. So if you're marketing to an entire county, Facebook also views that as, that's fine, it's not discriminatory. You'll notice that the age, that is locked. So you cannot change the age. So you're locked into that. Gender is also a protected status. You're locked into that. You can't change that either. The other thing that changed, like we talked about, is a lot of the demographics. So you used to be able to target, like we were talking about, household income and whether they were homeowners or not. That's all gone away as well. So the way that I teach people to do this, excuse me, the way that I teach people to do this is you just have to think differently about how to target people, right? So with that in mind, think about buyers, right? If I'm targeting potential buyers, where are buyers going? Well, a lot of buyers are going to Zillow's website to go search for properties. So I can put people who are interested in Zillow, I can put that in as a target and still reach those people, right? I can do the same with Trulia and Realtor.com and Redfin and so on and so forth. So that's one way that I could easily narrow down my list and find people that are probably going through the buying process. Let's say I was running a campaign for like potential empty nesters. So let's say I'm running an ad where I'm providing a list of homes that are all single level, no stairs, and providing that to potential empty nesters. Well, one of the ways that you can target the older demographic is just knowing the kinds of things that they're interested in. So I know this sounds totally weird, but after doing tons of research, the things that people are really interested in that older demographic, the older demographic is usually interested in things relating to healthcare, politics, and also local news celebrities. So one of the things that's funny here locally is a lot of the older people, they still watch the news. And so they see the anchors and the sportscasters and the weather people. And I don't know, for whatever reason, they just attach to these people. And so they go to their Facebook page and they'll like their page. So it's kind of funny that if you target people who like certain pages and certain industries and certain concepts, that's another way of reaching that older demographic, right? If you were doing a lot of first-time buyer stuff, millennials, younger people, a lot of times they're interested in entertainment. Restaurants are also a common one. So even though you're running a real estate ad, you can use some of these things that you know to target your target audience. So again, you just have to think about it a little differently and just ask yourself the question, where else can I find these people? What else are they interested in that I can use them to target that? And that becomes a really powerful way for doing this and how to do your targeting. So the topic of today's class is how to generate 20 plus leads per week. And so the question is that real, right? Or is that just something that happened once and so Kevin is claiming that it can be done all the time? So again, this is the kind of stuff that most people don't like to show you because they don't want to show you actual results, but I will because it doesn't bother me. So what you're seeing here is a screenshot of my landing page software. So visits tells me how many people came to the landing page. Opt-ins are the number of people who actually filled out that form. And then the conversion rate is the ratio between those two numbers. So remember how I said it's statistically about 10 to 20%. You'll notice as I go through these examples, that's pretty consistent. So in this case, 238 people came to the landing page. 37 of them actually filled it out. Now, the part that's not being shown here is the money. So the real estate agent that my client that we set this campaign up, his budget, he was doing a budget of $10 per day. He ran ads for 5 days. So 5 days at $10 a day, he just spent $50 on this campaign. And the opt-ins, so he generated 37 leads. So if you do the math, $50 spent generated 37 leads. That is a cost of about $1, $20, $30 per lead, something like that. Pretty inexpensive, right? Most of my clients, what it's costing them to generate leads, obviously some campaigns perform really well, some perform worse. Just depends on what it is that you're doing and what you're offering. But statistically, the numbers that I repeatedly see over and over again, different parts of the country, different kinds of offers, just averaging everything across the board. Statistically, for about every $3 to $5 of advertising that you spend on Facebook, most of my clients are generating one lead from about $3 to $5 spent. Now, when you put that in perspective of anything else that you're doing for marketing, whether you're doing direct mail or whether you're doing open houses and doing whatever it is that you're doing, this is going to outperform anything that frankly, that you probably could show me. So even if you're cold calling or door knocking, things that quote unquote don't cost money, the part that you're kidding yourself about is that it's costing your time, which is way more expensive than money, right? If you know that you're worth $300, $400, $500 an hour, so if you go knock doors for 2 hours, even if you're worth, let's say it takes you a long time to do a deal. So even if you're worth only $100 an hour and 2 hours of door knocking, that's $200 that it cost you to generate a lead by going and knocking on doors. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. So this is why I love this system, is not only is it super inexpensive, but once I get my ad set up and the ads are running, I don't have to sit and manage this. I just get notifications just like this every time that there's a new lead, right? And now I can go ahead and follow up with that person. So anyway, $50 spent, 37 leads. This campaign, 26 leads. So the agent spent $40, so $10 a day for 4 days, $40 spent, 26 leads. This was another campaign that was $10 a day for 4 days. So again, $40, 26 leads, about $1.60 or so per lead. 32 leads. This was a campaign that they spent $50 on. This was a $40 campaign. They got 25 leads. This one was interesting. It was a campaign where the agent again was doing $10 a day. They ran the campaign for 11 days. So they spent $110 on the campaign, generated 126 leads. If you do the math, that is less than $1 per lead. And a lot of times people are like, well, Kevin, these are just individual campaigns. Well, this is one of my clients. He's in Fort Worth, Texas. And one of the things that's really cool about what he does, he actually caters to the Hispanic population. So all of his ads are in Spanish. Don't ask me to tell you what they say. I don't know. I don't speak Spanish, right? But all of his ads are in Spanish. And in the targeting, we target people who speak Spanish. That's the way that we target it. And what you're seeing here is a screenshot of his ad account for the entire month of April. So for the month of April, he generated 328 leads if you add up the leads in that column. And in the amount spent, you can see what he spent for the month, which was $649. Now, this particular client, he typically spends around $600 to $800 a month on his marketing. So that's what he's spending for his ads on Facebook. And he's usually generating somewhere between 300 to 400 leads per month. Now, that's a lot of leads to follow up on. So there's him and a team of 3 agents, and they're the ones who are calling and following up and working those leads. But basically, for what they're doing, they're closing about 4 to 5 deals per month just from the leads that they're generating off of Facebook, right? So everyone always says, well, Kevin, what are conversion rates with leads like this? So conversion rates, anytime we're talking about a lead of someone who doesn't know who you are. So I call these cold leads, and sometimes I hate calling them that because people get in their head that means it's bad. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that up to this point in time, there was no relationship. They don't know you. You don't know them. There's not a whole lot of trust there. And so anytime you're dealing with a cold lead, conversion rates are going to be low. Industry statistic is about 1 to 3%, depending on what you're doing for follow-up. So the reason why I like to teach people to generate 20 to 25 leads per week is at that level, you're getting around 80 to 100 leads per month. And when you get to that kind of level, that's enough volume that you should be closing 1, 2, or 3 of those transactions, right? And so for the money that you're spending, right, I'm telling you that it's costing around $3 to $5 per lead. So if you're generating 100 of those, the math of it is that's a spend of about $300 to $500. But if that $300 to $500 is turning into 1, 2, or 3 transactions, obviously the numbers make tons of sense. You're probably at least 10 times what it is that you're, commission-wise, you're probably 10 times what it is that you're spending. And so it makes all the sense in the world. But that's why I love to teach about getting 20 to 25 leads per week, is that's enough volume that you should be seeing transactions every single month from what you're doing. So that's basically how this process works. The simple concept is we have an offer that we do through an ad. The ad drives people to a landing page. That's how we capture the lead. And then with the landing page, we have their contact information so that we can do the follow-up. So it's just those 3 pieces that make this work. There's the ad, the landing page, and then the follow-up, which a lot of that happens through email, through text, through phone, etc. So that is this process on how we use Facebook to generate leads. Just to show you another example, this is a seller leads campaign. Same concept, right? Except what it is that we're offering is different. Instead of offering information on a home, we're offering a market analysis. Same thing, we're driving people to a landing page, collecting the information, and then we follow up with the market analysis. It's the same concept, we just do the same thing. And frankly, you can really do any type of campaign that you want. These are all examples of campaigns that I've done, whether we're generating buyer leads or seller leads, sell by owners, expireds, divorce, frankly, you name it, I've probably done it. It's the same mechanics no matter what it is that we're marketing. We have something that we're offering, driving people to a landing page to capture the lead, and then doing the follow-up. And that's really how this process works. So, Kirk, take it away.
Hey, yeah, good stuff. I think, as when I was a new agent, and this is why I can speak to this, I think the first year, I started in April, and within 8 months, I spent $18,000 in advertising, marketing, and pretty much garbage, because I kept reaching, and I didn't really have any training, especially like this, right? I know there's some I don't know everybody on the call today because we just have so many, but the bottom line to it is that we have some people here that are looking at getting their license, right? And how beautiful is this that we can actually share this information and let them hit the ground running, because we all have minimal budgets. And as you set your business plan, you'll have a budget, and we're all in that mode right now, right, for next year. But you'll actually have an opportunity to hit the ground running. I'm spending $1 a day on that video where I'm talking about home values. And because I'm coaching baseball, football, basketball, and I'm out and about in front of my kids and their parents, is that people are saying, hey, I saw your video. Hey, I saw your video. And I'm telling you that 3 weeks ago, they weren't really saying that. They just saw me as Kirk Brown and whatever, So I'm reiterating to them subliminally that I am a realtor and this is what I do. So, but I wanted to really address the fact that, whether it be $1 a day or this guy spent $600 in a month. The last time I spoke to Zillow, which was probably 3 weeks ago, it was $1,100 to get about 10 leads. And, I'm not going to, I'm not here to bash them. I'm just saying that they've done a good job of getting people going and whatever. But a lot of us can't afford that, right? So if you're not a top producer right now, this is the kind of things that we need to teach each other so we can brand each other and we can build a sustainable business versus getting a lead and it's over with, getting a lead and getting it over with. And like Kevin said, if you didn't catch this, one of the best things he said is this is your lead dropping into your CRM. Then you incubate that lead. I had one in here that's been in there 2 months, and we finally reached out yesterday. We got some conversation going. I answered a few lending questions, just basic stuff. And we're off to the races today with a lender. It's another buyer lead. So, you have to incubate these leads. You have to work with them. So if you're starting out now, imagine what's going to be in 6 months to 8 months and planting that seed and getting people the information they need and staying in touch and increasing the touches, whether it be email or text, and asking what you can do. With the other portals and what I call a third-party generation company like Realtor or Zillow, you're not the only realtor they're sending that lead to, by the way, but you're all paying about the same thing. So they're getting $1,100, if that's the number, from 5 different people in the same zip code for the same lead. And that lead, by the way, you guys, came from us because it is a lead that, can you imagine that? And this is what drives realtors crazy, is how this thing, and then, some companies I won't mention right now allowed that to happen. Okay. A governing body let that happen.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another time. But I mean, the point that I would drive home about what you're talking about is, so today, as we're recording this, it's Halloween, October 31st, happy Halloween. But here's the truth of the matter is that with it being October 31st, if you want to have a great 2020, right? If you want your 2020 to be the best year you've ever had in the business, that actually starts now, because the leads that you're going to be closing in January are the leads that you generate today, right? So that's just kind of the way the lead flow works in real estate. Is the leads we generate today are the deals you're going to be closing 45, 60, 90 days from today.
Yeah, right? No doubt. And we use KV Core at our company, and it's a very simple program, but you have to have some type of CRM or a very good Excel sheet, but you have to be able to drip and set up campaigns and do some things. So some other things you have to do, and I want to thank Kevin again for another wonderful, fantastic class today, learning and teaching agents how to better their business, how to brand themselves, and we'll continue to do this as time goes on. And I hope that all of you are seeing some good results from this as you start to go into the new year. Start now. Get these Facebook ads running, and you'll see some success from that. So, Kevin, thanks again for week 4 of generating a minimum of 20 leads per week with Facebook. And next week we have another fantastic class coming to you. So, guys, have a great week selling. This is Captain Kirk with the Lead Generation Academy and Kevin Smullen. We'll see you next time. Thank you.